A human mind encounters a sentence and, effortlessly, builds a world. A machine encounters that exact same sentence and hits a wall of static. To a computer, text is merely a sequence of unquantifiable symbols. Parsing the sheer chaos of human language into the absolute, rigid reality of machine mathematics requires a massive architectural leap. We're exploring the structural mechanisms that actually make large language models possible, grounding our understanding in the Stanford CME 295 curriculum from autumn 2025.
Take a simple input. A cute teddy bear is reading. To us, the context is immediate. We don't even have to think about it. But to a system built entirely of zeros and ones, that sentence holds absolutely no inherent truth. The central friction in machine translation, and really natural language processing as a whole, is figuring out how to inject context into computation. How exactly does an algorithm process the fluid relationship between bear and reading without losing the thread?
Section 1. The language problem, parsing chaos. The foundational problem we face is that human language is beautifully ambiguous. It's filled with idioms, dual meanings, and weird exceptions. Computation, however, demands rigid, quantifiable vectors. For a model to compute anything at all, it first has to convert the abstract nature of a word into a fixed geometric reality. And the sheer scale of this problem is staggering. Modern multilingual models have to memorize and manipulate vocabularies that easily scale to hundreds of thousands of distinct units. Establishing a mathematical representation for every possible variation of every single word across multiple languages requires a profound architectural shift. This sheer scale is exactly why the leap from basic classification to modern generative capabilities relies heavily on how, precisely, we slice the text.
Section 2. Tokens and embeddings, slicing language.
Before a model can begin to understand a sentence, it has to break it down into computable, geometric units. We call this tokenization. It's the necessary act of slicing language into digestible fragments that can eventually be mapped to numbers. Now, there are a few ways to make these cuts. Word-level tokenization is basically a blunt force approach. It cuts the text strictly word by word. But this creates a massive inefficiency because the singular root bear and the plural bears are treated as entirely separate, completely unrelated entities. It also carries a high risk of hitting words the model simply hasn't seen before. Subword-level tokenization, on the other hand, offers a lot more nuance and leverages word roots, recognizing the shared bear particle in both instances. The trade-off here is that breaking words into smaller subwords fundamentally increases the overall length of the sequence the model has to process.
Once sliced up, these tokens need a mathematical representation. Early attempts relied on something called one-hot encoding, which just assigned a simple 1 and a long string of zeros to each word, but that completely failed to capture relationships. So the evolution progressed to systems like word2vec. These learned multidimensional representations through proxy tasks, like trying to predict the next word in a sentence based purely on its neighbors. By trying to solve a proxy task, the model naturally started to learn which words belonged near each other. This ultimately led to recurrent neural networks, which attempted to process these words in sequential order. This shift to dense representations meant words were now coordinates in a massive, high-dimensional space, and we measure the relationship between these coordinates using cosine similarity. It mathematically quantifies semantic closeness by measuring the angle between vectors. So king and queen find mathematical proximity because their vectors point in roughly the same direction. Simplistic one-hot encoding placed every single word at a perfect right angle to every other word, isolated and completely devoid of context. Cosine similarity actually maps the geometry of meaning.
Section 3. The memory bottleneck, sequential processing.
Having a map of words is only half the battle, though. You still have to read the sentence. Early models processed language sequentially, one word at a time, exactly the way a human reads left to right. But this created a core friction, a profound memory bottleneck, with very honest failure modes and structural trade-offs. Recurrent neural networks operated on a strict timeline. Step 1, read the current token. Step 2, merge it with the hidden state, which is a continuous vector carrying the accumulated meaning of the sentence so far. Step 3, pass that newly updated context forward to the next step. The ambition was immense. These networks were attempting to carry an entire sentence's meaning inside a single, continuously evolving mathematical state.
But there is a fatal flaw in linear processing, and it lies in backpropagation, which is the way the network learns from its errors. As a sentence grows longer, the math requires multiplying fractions across many time steps. When you continually multiply numbers smaller than 1, the product rapidly approaches 0. We call this the vanishing gradient. The beginning of a long sentence is inevitably, mathematically lost to this decay.
It completely steelmans the skeptic's argument. Language is simply too complex, and its dependencies are spread too far apart to be processed in a strict, linear sequence.
Section 4. The attention breakthrough, bypassing sequence.
Overcoming this memory bottleneck required a structural paradigm shift. We needed a complete departure from linear time. This arrived with the 2017 publication of the Attention is All You Need paper, which introduced the transformer architecture. The breakthrough here was the self-attention mechanism. It completely bypassed sequential bottlenecks. Instead of waiting its turn, a word is allowed to immediately evaluate its relationship with every single other word in the sequence all at once. The concept of past and future words is flattened into an instant, parallel web of direct connections.
The mechanics of this instantaneous retrieval system operate on a really precise analogy: queries, keys, and values. Think of the query as what a specific token is actively searching for. For example, the word Teddy looking for an associated noun. The key is the identifier that every other token holds out, and the value is the actual underlying representation retrieved when the query and key calculate a match. This mechanism constructs a unique, highly specific contextual meaning for every single token based purely on its surroundings.
Section 5. The transformer architecture, macro architecture.
Self-attention is the engine, but the vehicle it powers is the macro architecture of the transformer itself. Stepping back, we can see how this engine is deployed to actually translate and generate language. The architecture is split into two halves. The encoder acts with omniscience. It processes all input tokens simultaneously, allowing them to attend to one another to build a densely rich context matrix. The decoder, however, is constrained. It generates the final output sequentially. When predicting the next word, it is mathematically masked from looking at future tokens it hasn't generated yet. It cross-references its own forward-moving generation with the encoder's omniscient map.
To truly capture the depths of language, a single pass just isn't enough. The architecture utilizes multi-head attention. It deploys multiple attention heads simultaneously across the exact same sequence. Because each head uses a differently learned projection matrix, one head might map the grammatical structure, while another maps the emotional sentiment, and a third maps literal definitions. It's the simultaneous discovery of completely different semantic relationships within the very same text.
Section 6. The practical reality, tempering the model.
Abstract theory must eventually anchor itself to the ground truth of practical machine learning. An architecture this powerful requires mechanisms that actively temper the model, preventing it from collapsing under its own statistical confidence. When predicting the next word in a sentence, there is rarely one singular, absolutely correct answer. Insisting on absolute certainty, 100% confidence in a single target word, makes the model rigid and highly prone to overfitting. The solution is label smoothing. It mathematically subtracts a tiny fraction of probability from the target word and distributes it among all other possibilities. It's a structural acknowledgement of language's inherent ambiguity, mathematically preventing the model from becoming blindly overconfident.
From blunt sequential reading to the instantaneous, multidimensional web of self-attention, the evolution of these models is profound. Yet, the lingering realization here is that what we perceive as a machine's understanding is, ultimately, just the precise, algorithmic manipulation of high-dimensional proximity. Context is merely geometry. Please note, this video is AI generated with Notebook LM, drawn from Stanford CME 295, Transformers and LLMs by Stanford Online. Informational only, not advice. If you've been enjoying the journey, like and subscribe, it helps the channel grow. Thank you for watching, see you in the next one.